This week we fly down to the Virgin Islands, take our very first sailboat charter, and finish it off with some sailboat shopping. Welcome to Escape from Samsara. After landing in St. Thomas, we took a taxi to Red Hook on the other side of the island, where we caught the ferry to Cruz Bay, which is on St. John's. After we arrived, we found a first bar, toasted the beginning of our vacation, and waited for our dinghy ride to the catamaran.
Really kind of calling home, either somewhere over here, Red Hook, or maybe Tortola. Because the one thing we don't like to do, which is good about this, is when we start out in St. Thomas, that 2 hours from St. Thomas to here, it's not a lot of fun.
That's 2 hours to sail that far?
Yeah. Well, that's motoring. That's not even.
Oh, that's motoring.
Yeah, that's not even actually sailing. It'd take us 4 or 5.
Really?
Yeah. Because it's.
It was a short dinghy ride around the point to where the Sapphire was moored, right there on Honeymoon Beach. We had an orientation. We were told how to use the toilets and how to not waste water. And most importantly, we were advised not to drown. After the orientation, Stephanie went and put her bathing suit on, dove into the warm Caribbean waters, and I started doing a general tour of the boat just to get familiar with what it was. Hopefully you can see that. It says $26 a night. I mean, how funny is that? Like a sign out in front of a hotel. The Sapphire is a 2006 43-foot Leopard Robertson Cane design. Really a clean boat, really comfortable. We could tell right away that this was going to be a great week in the Caribbean. The morning of day 2 after breakfast, we motored our way around the cove from Honeymoon Beach to Trunk Bay, still on St. John. St. John is primarily a national park, and the majority of it is set aside for that purpose. Here we were going to be taken ashore, spend some time on the beach, laying in the sun, just relaxing basically. Not too soon after arriving, we were visited by one of the members of the welcoming committee on St. John, who encouraged us to get our snorkeling gear and get into the water and explore the area and see what they had to offer. We didn't pass up the opportunity and spent plenty of time swimming around. There's not too many places in the world that I've been where there's not a few beggars. When we went to lunch, we learned that St. John had its own.
And the birds lie in a wait, waiting for the food. Here they come. Nope.
Here comes one. You video and wait for them to attack me?
Yep. They get you.
Birds in that movie. And David's like going shoo, 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 and it drops my sandwich on the picnic table.
Oh,
the funniest thing ever.
Later that afternoon, we were picked up by our dinghy captain and headed back to the Sapphire just to sit around and relax. You may recognize our dinghy captain. Yes, that's actor Jeremy Harrison of NCIS New Orleans, Vice Principals, and Homeland. Later that night, we were treated to a phenomenal dinner, then tried our hand at capturing the sunset. But nonetheless, we were enjoying our time on a catamaran and learning what it was like to be on board permanently. The morning of day 3, we made our way over to Maho Bay on St. John. And I'm not embarrassed to say that, well, we didn't do anything more that day than swim and snorkel and explore. There's plenty to see, plenty of things to find, and Maho is specifically known for turtles, and there were plenty of those to be seen also. it wouldn't be much of a stretch to say we were enjoying ourselves, and I think we were both finally getting the hang of this sailing life. When this is a view outside your bathroom window, you know you're living life right. Early the morning of day 4, we raised the sails and sailed out of Maho Bay across to Road Town on the island of Tortola in the British Virgin Islands, where we had arranged to spend the day with a boat broker looking at sailboats. I just realized this is the first pictures of Christina, our charter captain, who I can't say enough about her professionalism as a captain, and her easygoing nature as a hostess made the trip all that more special. You may recognize her also, as she's an actor, having played in several parts. You may have seen her in Netflix Rectify. This is the customs house in Road Town, where Christina quickly got us checked in. From there we caught a cab and went down to Nanny K to meet up with Todd Duff for the day. Todd is one of those guys you can legitimately call an old salt. I don't know how many boats he said he has owned, and he has sailed around the world several times. Our only objective and goal that we shared with Todd was to see as many boats as we possibly could that would be right for a couple who wanted to do blue water sailing. We knew that this was going to be probably the single best opportunity to look at a lot of boats in one place without having to travel all over the U.S. looking at one boat here and one boat there. We wanted to see the monohulls, we wanted to see the catamarans, we wanted to see the charter boats, we wanted to see the privately owned boats, we wanted to understand how they're laid out, we wanted to understand what can be changed, what can't be changed, what is standard, what is optional, what are the features that would work best for us, what are the things that we're going to want. It was also important for Stephanie and I both to start getting an idea of understanding what do I like, what does she like, what do I dislike, what does she dislike, so that we can start bringing our vision together. Because we do have different thoughts on things. While I love the monohulls, I appreciate the benefits of the catamarans. She likes the monohulls for the space down below, but she doesn't want to be down below. This should give you an idea just about how many boats are there. This is just 1 yard on the hard, and we're looking for one specific boat. This is in a space that maybe an acre or two. It's just an incredible amount of boats down there. It is definitely the sailing capital of the world. We climbed up in, we climbed down in, we crawled around in. We looked at every inch and corner of every boat that we were taken to by Todd. Todd was a wealth of knowledge about everything that we would possibly be able to ask. We didn't even know the things that we didn't know. By the end of the day, I was exhausted and was glad to finish it up and meet up with our dinghy captain back at Nanny K for a drink and head back to the boat. We're going to come around and you looking at one another. Another beautiful ending to a wonderful day, and I'm happy that I'm making some progress. Before 7 a.m. the next morning, we're hoisting the sails and headed off the Joost Van Dyke out of Nanny K. I started to trim this a little bit, concerned that I might wind up boring my audience a little bit, but it is less than a minute, and this is a sailing vlog. And quite frankly, this was my favorite part of the whole trip, just the quiet of the sailing. I know it's a lot of trouble for a charter captain to bring the sails up just to bring them back down 30 minutes to an hour later, but I was really appreciative of the opportunity that Christina allowed for us to get some sailing in. see what it's really like to be under a sail. Probably about 9 o'clock this morning. Stephanie and I have already walked ashore. New neighbors coming in there in a motorboat. Motor yacht, I guess would be the way they call it. There's Stephanie and I swam ashore there, and then walked down there to where all the famous bars are, the Soggy Dollar, Gertrude, various and sundry other places. Having a good time. Honey, you could jump up a high dive up here and it wouldn't hurt you. Most diving wells are only 12 feet.
I gotta do it as ah!
I'm sure the yelp wasn't really necessary. The water in this area is so clear, and when the sun was just right, it was really like swimming in a swimming pool. Yost was at the top of the list of places Stephanie wanted to check out while we were down in the BVIs. So after kicking back for a little bit, we talked the crew into going ashore, and we went to Soggy Dollar for some painkillers. We left Yost Van Dyke that morning under sail and started heading south to get closer to where we needed to be for our departure the next day. On the way, we stopped at different islands to do some snorkeling and some exploring. Just taking our time, sailing along, enjoying ourselves. Took us for a walk into this uncharted desert island. The further we walked, the more concerned I got. Then I saw this sign, and I looked at him, and an evil grin crossed his face. I knew I was in trouble. But I was wrong. He had just brought us there to visit this cat at this tidal pool. I don't know why I'm so suspicious. I guess it's just my nature. It wasn't very bubbly that day. The waves were down, but it was a very pretty spot. And with Christina at the helm, we were able to kick back, relax, and enjoy a day under the sails. Our final day on our vacation. Thank you, Dinghy Captain Jeremy. We enjoyed our late night conversations and learning about the acting industry. Thank you, Christina. You are a phenomenal captain and a hostess, and we will never share your mystic powers with anyone. These are the faces of two very happy people, and you made us that way. Thank you. We caught the ferry, headed back to the airport. Reality was awaiting.